The one thought in your mind all the time is someone's life is depending on what you're doing.
It's 12 minutes past 12. The police are still on the outskirts of London. They know they only have 18 minutes to travel the 8 miles to the hospital.
12:30 was the critical time, and we were told in no uncertain terms that if we weren't there by 12:30 we were to abort the run.
It was then they hit the traffic. Heavy traffic and a ticking clock still stand between the police and the hospital. They have 17 minutes to travel 8 miles.
It was a Friday and lunchtime. We had to travel through the East End of London, the City, the West End of London to reach the hospital.
To think you've got to go through London round about rush hour time or dinner time didn't exactly appeal to me, but there was no other way around it. So I knew there was plenty of help in front of us. I knew we had the majority of junctions covered because the new command complex at Scotland Yard had just opened up, and really I think this was a good test for it.
Because the route was planned, and we had already planned it with Scotland Yard, they were able to notify local stations and other traffic units that we needed assistance through traffic light junctions, various other junctions throughout the route, roundabouts and so on. Fortunately, they were able to be there. We had a great deal of assistance. The organisation worked, and a number of the junctions were manned so that at least we could have a clear run through.
And I think if you look at the entire run, something like about 51 police officers took part in that.
The radio operator in the police car was in constant contact with Scotland Yard to inform them of their whereabouts and the traffic conditions. These updates are vital if the drivers want assistance on the way. And with 7 miles to travel in 16 minutes, they need all the help they can get. But will it be enough? In spite of blue flashing lights and wailing sirens, some motorists still seem unaware of the urgency of the situation. This time, a clear path through the traffic could be the difference between life and death.
Most drivers moved over to their near side whenever they saw the police car coming up behind them with the blue lights flashing. The exception was a red car, which you can see in the film, moving in front of my car. But if you look closely at it, you'll see that the red car has got German number plates. The driver of that car was actually obeying the rules of the road for their own country.
Just 15 minutes before they're due at the hospital, and with 6 miles still to go, the patrol cars are joined by 2 solo police motorcyclists to try and help them get through the crowded city. Riding way up ahead, they're doing their best to warn traffic and pedestrians that an emergency escort is underway. Any time that can be saved at this stage of the journey could prove crucial.
We knew nothing at all about the recipient of the liver. We didn't know who the person was, male, female, adult or child. But you still have a responsibility to try and get the organ to the hospital as quickly as you can, because someone's life depends on it. And that is the motivation behind you, as it were.
It's something I've never done before. It's the first for me, and it's not something that I relish, because obviously you know that somebody is critical in a hospital, and someone will of course have died, so there's no pleasure in it.
The patient had in fact already undergone 1 transplant operation, but her body was chronically rejecting the new liver. This second replacement liver was vital for her survival. Before the donor organ left the Hull hospital, a medical team had already assessed its suitability, and the operation was started on the assumption it would arrive on time. Without a new liver, there was no chance of survival. At speeds of over 50 miles an hour through the city, the police are making good progress, but there are still 5 miles to travel in just 13 minutes through London's busy West End. It doesn't look good.
As we drove along the embankment, we were told over the radio by our control room that they had been in touch with the hospital and told them to expect us in 10 minutes. I looked at my watch, checked the time and thought, oh dear.
The hospital are relying on the officers to arrive within an allotted time. The police have to tread a fine line between safety and speed. But they now know more than ever that someone's life is depending on them, and they may not make it in time.
When we were going along the embankment, we got called up to say that the hospital had obviously asked where we were, and an ETA of 10 minutes had been given. And I think Steve said to me, he said, they'll have started the operation now. He said, because when we get there, I think it's just a straight transplant in. And I was aware in my own mind that if we didn't get there, the person would die.
From the embankment, the police still have roughly 4 miles to cover, and with the average speed of London traffic down to just 10 miles an hour, time is running out. From Northumberland Avenue, the patrol cars drive toward Trafalgar Square, where the police have cleared a route through to the Mall. This is the very heart of London, and filled with tourists. But these drivers have no time to admire the sights.